One of the first things that comes to mind when you think of the history of the Dallas Cowboys is the lineage of great running backs that the team has had. Players like Emmitt Smith, Tony Dorsett, Herschel Walker, Preston Pearson, Dwayne Thomas, Walt Garrison, Marion Barber. But the first great running back for the Dallas Cowboys was 1961 Rookie of the Year Don Perkins. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan and a self-proclaimed NFL historian, which is why when just over a month ago when Don Perkins, the Dallas Cowboys legendary running back of the 1960s, passed away at the age of 84, I was upset to hear about his passing. I was somewhat happy with the media attention that he received, which was of course very positive and highlighted the facts that he's a Cowboy legend and a legend of the game overall. But the memorial videos which the NFL released and some TV stations released simply stated the facts that he played for the Dallas Cowboys, and he was originally drafted by the Baltimore Colts in 1960 but signed a deal prior to the draft to play for the Cowboys, and then rushed for 6,117 yards and scored 42 touchdowns between 1961 and 68. And that was pretty much it. On to the next topic, and it's all information that you could acquire from reading his page on Pro Football Reference or his Wikipedia page. I think the media skips over just how important Don Perkins was, not just to the Cowboys, but to the NFL overall in its history. If Perkins never played pro football, then the NFL, especially America's team, may look vastly different today, and I'll tell you why, but I have to take you back to the year 1960. Whether you love the Cowboys or you hate them, it might be difficult for younger NFL fans to imagine a time when the Dallas Cowboys didn't have a world-class stadium, a state-of-the-art training complex, didn't have any Lombardi trophies, and didn't appear on nationally televised games regularly. But back in 1960, during the team's first season, that was precisely the case. The Cowboys had yet to become known as America's team, the franchise which would eventually top Forbes' list for most valuable professional sports team in the world. And the team played in front of small crowds at the Cotton Bowl on Sunday afternoons. In the fall of 1960, the Dallas Cowboys took the field at the leadership of Tom Landry for the franchise's inaugural season. The Cowboys lost 11 games that season, but astonishingly managed to scrape a 31-31 tie against Landry's old team, the New York Giants, at Yankee Stadium. That game in particular was described by General Manager Tex Schramm as the same as one of the biggest victories that we might have had in a Super Bowl or anything, because we had finally done something other than lose. Don Meredith, the team's quarterback, stated that he believed there was a spark of interest from that year because deep down we all like to pull for the underdog too. But you can only keep people interested in a bad football team for so long before they lose interest. So what the Cowboys needed was a star or two to attract fans and keep them loyal to the franchise forevermore. In 1961, with the benefit of college draft picks, especially first-round pick Bob Lilly from Texas Christian, who turned out to be one of the greatest defensive tackles that the game has ever seen, and the addition of a certain running back who wore number 43, the fortune of the franchise slowly started to turn around. Perkins was a tough-as-nails fullback from the University of New Mexico. He was an electrifying runner who had a unique talent for anticipating where the open space was and using his superior athleticism to carry the ball like few others could. Only Jim Brown and Jim Taylor rushed for more yards through the 1960s than Perkins, and Perkins ran without the benefit of a Hall of Fame offensive lineman. Perkins was the main event at the Cotton Bowl on Sunday afternoons, and his playmaking ability attracted several fans in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, something that was huge considering the expansion Cowboys directly competed with the Dallas Texans of the AFL for fans. Eventually, the Texans moved to Kansas City and renamed themselves the Chiefs. Perkins may not be held in the same regard as some of the other great running backs from the era, such as Jim Brown or Lenny Moore, but his importance to the Cowboys fan base in the early 60s was undisputable. Without Perkins on the Dallas Cowboys in the 60s, it's possible that the Texans remain in Dallas. And what kind of a butterfly effect would that have had on the history of the NFL? Perhaps the Chiefs remain in Dallas and the Cowboys move? Perhaps Tom Landry gets fired after Clint Murchison, the owner of the franchise, can't handle the lack of fans turning up to watch his team play and decides to go with a new coach, despite Tex Schramm's best efforts to convince him otherwise. Then Tom Landry wouldn't have had the chance to establish a shotgun, the multiple offense, and the flex defense that teams so frequently use today, let alone establish the Cowboys as America's team thanks to the run of 20 consecutive winning seasons from 1966 to 1985, which is still an all-time record. Something which I don't think is talked about enough when you talk about the history of the Dallas Cowboys is that during that time, the Cowboys transformed the city of Dallas. Dallas was branded as a hateful place full of racism and discrimination, and it was thought of as a place that the country should be ashamed of after President John F. Kennedy was assassinated on November 22, 1963, on Elm Street in Dallas. But by the late 60s and early 70s, the exciting play of the Cowboys made residents proud to say they were from Dallas, for the first time in what must have seemed like forever. During the Landry era, the Cowboys were more than just a football team. They gave their city something to be proud of on a national scale, and they helped transform Dallas. With the Cowboys' success followed the TV show Dallas, which according to NFL Films' production The Timeline was selected as the city for the popular TV show simply because the Cowboys just won the Super Bowl before the show's pilot aired. So by 1978, being from Dallas was no longer something to be ashamed of. In fact, it was more like a badge of honor. Without the elusive and exciting play of Don Perkins, the Cowboys may not have become the Cowboys we know today, and Dallas may simply be known as the city where John F. Kennedy was slain. Tom Landry had an immense amount of respect for Don Perkins. When he was asked about his star running back from the early days of the franchise, the Cowboys legend stated, "He was playing in the toughest times back in 60-61 when we didn't have much going for us. The guy was a remarkable runner, a great pass blocker, and one of the best players in our history." Another legendary Cowboys running back, Will Garrison, stated that Perk was my hero, and he's still my hero. He got the most out of his ability on every play. He never quit until he heard the whistle blow. If he thought that he could gain another yard, another inch, then he would. And if he took pain doing that, he'd say, "That's the way the game's played." Perkins was a 6-time Pro Bowler, the 1961 Rookie of the Year, 1962 First Team All-Pro, and 1967 Second Team All-Pro. Perkins' career as a Dallas Cowboy, where he displayed ferocious courage as a runner and a pass blocker and paved the way for what it means to be a Dallas Cowboy running back, will never be forgotten by the fans.